This is porridge time. What you're about to see is real, and it was never meant to be public. Be sure to subscribe.
This story begins in a place built on trust, a hospital. Specifically, the neonatal unit at the Countess of Chester Hospital in northwest England, a ward designed to care for the most fragile lives imaginable. Premature babies, newborns struggling to breathe, parents watching monitors, trusting that the people in uniform know exactly what they're doing. For years, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But behind the routine of night shifts, feeding schedules, and medical charts, something was quietly going wrong. And for a long time, no one wanted to believe it. Lucy Letby was a neonatal nurse. She was young, qualified, and by all accounts, dedicated to her job. Colleagues described her as hardworking. Parents described her as caring. She sent cards. She took photos. She stayed late. There was nothing outwardly alarming about her, which is why what happened next would take years to understand. Between 2015 and 2016, babies on the neonatal unit began to collapse unexpectedly. Some stopped breathing without warning. Others suffered sudden drops in heart rate. In several cases, infants who had been stable suddenly died. Doctors were baffled. These were not babies expected to deteriorate, and yet the collapses kept happening. At first, staff believed they were dealing with coincidence. Neonatal units are high-risk environments. Complications happen. Death, while rare, is not unheard of. But over time, patterns began to emerge. Too many collapses, too many deaths, and increasingly, they appeared to happen during the same nurses' shifts. Senior doctors began raising concerns. They flagged unusual incidents. They requested reviews. They asked whether something more serious could be happening. But those concerns were not acted on. Instead, they were challenged. Hospital management questioned the doctors' conclusions. They asked for proof. They suggested stress, coincidence, or poor teamwork. Lucy Letby was not removed from the unit. She was moved, and the deaths continued. As suspicions grew, so did tensions inside the hospital. Some staff members felt something was deeply wrong. Others felt the idea that a nurse could be deliberately harming babies was unthinkable. For a long time, that doubt worked in Letby's favor. Eventually, the police were called. What followed was one of the most complex medical murder investigations in British history. Investigators went back through years of medical records. They examined blood tests, drug charts, shift patterns, and slowly, a picture began to form. Experts concluded that some babies had been poisoned with insulin. Others had air deliberately injected into their bloodstream, a rare and extremely dangerous act known as air embolism. These were not accidents. They were acts requiring medical knowledge. They could only have been carried out by someone with access. Lucy Letby was arrested in July 2018. She denied all allegations.
Eating that for me, Lucy.
Told me that there would be a lot more deaths and that I'd been linked to somebody that's there for a lot of them. Did you have any concerns that there was a rise in the mortality rate? Yes. Okay, so tell me about that. What concerns did you have?
The case would take years to reach court, and when it did, it would expose disturbing details that shocked the country. During the trial, prosecutors presented evidence covering multiple infant deaths and collapses. They showed how Letby was present during many of the incidents. They presented handwritten notes found in her home. One of them read, "I am evil. I did this." The defense argued the note was taken out of context. They argued that the hospital itself was at fault, understaffed, poorly managed, unsafe. They said the deaths were tragic, but not criminal. The jury heard months of medical testimony. They listened to grieving parents describe their final moments with their children. They heard how babies collapsed shortly after being left alone with Letby. They heard how some parents were reassured, only to lose their child hours later. In August 2023, the jury reached its verdict. Lucy Letby was found guilty of murdering 7 babies and attempting to murder others. She was sentenced to life in prison, a whole life order. She will never be released. The judge described her actions as cruel, calculated, and cold-blooded. Parents spoke of unimaginable loss, and questions were raised, not just about Letby, but about the system around her. How were early warnings missed? Why were doctors overruled? Why did it take so long for action to be taken? Public inquiries were launched. The NHS came under intense scrutiny. This case was not just about one nurse. It was about silence, about disbelief, about how difficult it can be to act when the truth is unthinkable. Lucy Letby maintained her innocence. Appeals were lodged, but the convictions stood, and the families were left with answers that came far too late. This is not a story about panic or hysteria. It is a story about trust being broken in the one place it should never fail: a hospital, a neonatal ward, and babies who never had a chance.